Welcome back, everyone, to Moving Offline. Today we have Ari Greenfeld. He is the creator of the Mindful Phone, and we're going to be discussing a lot of topics for today. I'm excited to have this conversation and to get to know him a little bit more. He is from the Orthodox Jewish community in Spring Valley, New York. He grew up in New York, and now he decided that he wanted to develop a phone. So let's get to a little bit of his journey, and I'll make some interjections here and there so that we get to know how difficult it is to make a phone nowadays.
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute honor to be on your podcast today. I'm Ari Greenfeld. I'm born and raised in Spring Valley, New York. It's the suburbs of New York City. And I belong to the Orthodox Jewish community, which over there, it's basically forbidden to have a smartphone for no good reason, for just social purposes. You can only have access to internet for business purposes, and you always need to have another phone, like a basic phone, for just talk or talk and text. That's how I was raised, and that's what my first phone that I had was only a flip phone with talk and text.
As you heard there, Ari belongs to the Orthodox Jewish community, and he grew up with a flip phone. Nothing else, nothing more. And that may seem restrictive to a lot of you, but as I have come to learn, it's not only done in order to protect people from things that they may not want to watch or advertisements or consumerism. It's also done for social cohesion, and that is quite important and very relevant as we have become more disconnected in our communities nowadays. It may seem isolating even to use technology. But when you don't have access to it, you have to have ingenuity and actually go and connect with your local community, something that I think we all can benefit from. Let me go back to Ari so he can continue the story.
When I started the business in 2018, I started off with manufacturing MP3 players. The reason why I came into this line, I always liked tech. Okay, there's no such thing. I always liked tech. I always had the latest and greatest gadgets, but funny enough, my first MP3 player was the SanDisk Sensa Clip. And I always felt a little bit like when it comes to our community or the community that wants to keep the old minimalistic tech, that they're being left behind a lot, because the bigger companies, the more they grow and move to new projects, to new products, for them, as being a multi-billion-dollar company, it's not worth for them to play around with a small niche community. Let's call it a niche community. So I felt like there's a lot of plays. The community is getting enough big for smaller companies to jump in and make good products. Then the whole China manufacturing thing became a thing, and they became like a one-stop shop for manufacturing new products. So I decided, you know what, let me try out if I can create an MP3 player with more features, nicer upgraded looks. And that's when I jumped in. The samples came out beautiful. I found a reliable manufacturer to work with. And I started manufacturing and distributing MP3 players under the GreenTouch brand.
So Ari had a business right there, selling customized MP3 players for his community. What he said is really true. The big companies are not interested in listening to the feedback from the community. All they want is your time and attention so that they can sell it to the biggest advertiser and actually make money off of us. But companies like Lightphone or even Mudita, Punkt, and of course, GreenTouch Solutions, they're more interested in listening to our feedback and making products better. As I continue talking with Ari, it was very interesting to hear what it actually takes to bring a phone into manufacturing and to iterate and actually make it a deliverable product that exists in the world today. Let's hear to all the steps that he had to go through in order to get the Mindful Phone out there in the market.
I'm going to remind myself as I go, because I didn't write it down. It's not a scripted journey, but first, step number one is decide who your clientele is, as we discussed earlier. Step number two is actually create a design. So I'm an artist, a family of artists, and I started designing, buying different prototypes, different basic phones that are available out there. I purchased them. And from that, I started building a design concept in my head. I looked what the market has to offer, the general smartphone market, because they have a lot of nice design elements out there. And I tried implementing them in my design. One of the main things that I tried keeping in my mind, although you want to make the best phone out there in the beginning, you want to make the Bentley of phones. You want to make the best, but you also need to take in consideration that the more better you make your spec sheet, the higher is the R&D, research and development fees. The longer it's going to take you to develop the phone. And knowing that I don't have the experience yet in creating a phone, I tried aiming for a good spec sheet. Not the best, not bad, a good spec sheet for what we need. Since we don't have gaming, it's just for text messages. I started making a spec sheet based on that. Once I had more spec sheet and everything, I started looking for a factory. If you start digging into the concept of factories in China, you will find a ton of them. There's more that you can count on your fingers that make basic phones. The problem is that we needed a factory that has experience in making phones for the USA, because I use them as my one-stop shop. They need to create everything. And then we landed by one factory, and they were very good. And I decided to work with them. So originally, when we started off working together, we discussed they will make the app, the phone, everything that we need for the phone, they're going to make. Software changes. So we started the R&D process. They took my design. We adjusted it based on real life feedback, how it should look. We're not that big yet to be able to buy custom screens. It requires a much higher volume of orders. You need to order much more screens. So we decided, okay, we're going to order a standard size screen that is available in the market. Same goes with the battery. Just the PCBA we made ourselves, and of course the entire structure of the phone we made ourselves. But we tried to use off-the-shelf parts so we can expedite the process.
If this sounds intricate and a lot of details to you, it's because it is. When I was talking with Ari, he shared so many more details, and I had to reduce them because there are so many things that go into developing a phone. Here you're hearing some of his thoughts and ideas, and some of them are cut down because there are so many components that we don't think about as consumers when we get our phones. I want him to continue sharing this deep dive into how it works, because there are also other problems that come into the mix that are not just hardware related, but also software related. So let's continue to listen to what Ari has to say in this specific case.
They started making the phone, and we hired the designing team to create the UX UI for the phone, for the apps for the phone. And when I shared with them the UX UI, they were like, we're not going to make it. We didn't tell you that. We spoke, we're going to give you ours, but just small icon changes, but that's it. So that was when the phone was almost ready to roll out. After we had the samples, I was like, listen, that's one of the key features that we want to have, is we want to have our own apps. We don't have that. It's missing from my vision. So we hired the app development team, 5 people and 5 developers in Pakistan. We made a contract with them that they're going to make it the apps. We had a timeline of 3 months, but of course, it just took much, much longer than 3 months. I remember I have a friend that does app and web development, and he told me, don't do it. I was like, listen, I understand it's going to have a lot of challenges, but in the long run, it's just going to be so much better. So we need to move forward. And I started it, and it was a tough journey. Just the apps itself, creating the app. Then I started seeing that the custom OS that the Chinese company told me that they're going to make is just not working properly. Like, it works in terms of phone calls, but it's not well protected. It's not well executed. So we asked them, please release the source code. Source code means the bottom code that the phone has, like clean, so we can work on it and modify it ourselves, and they didn't want to. They refused to give it out until I flew down to the factory. I met with the owner and till we got an agreement, and they gave us the source code. So then we hired a US team of professionals, and they customized the entire OS to meet the security standards and make sure that it works efficient. I'm saying that in just a couple of minutes, but it actually took months of months of months. We're now 2 years probably in from we started making the actual molds and design phase. And we're still, right now, the phones are here already. You can buy it, but there's a lot of bug fixes that we keep on pushing out and new features that we're pushing out to prove the point to people that, yeah, we're a trustable company and we push out updates based on what we need to fix. Then it comes with the carriers. Originally, we planned on being Verizon certified, but that's a very, very, very tedious process, and it involves a lot of cost. Lab testing for the testing that Verizon needs can grow dramatically. And we figured, like, well, most phones in the world are not certified by Verizon, and we didn't want to choose that route, but unfortunately, we decided that we're not going to do certification in the first batch. So like this, we can roll it out, because I'm not going to spend $250,000 on certification on something that I don't know is a proven concept. If it works, if people like the design. We're not that big. We're not such a wealthy company yet to be able to spare out so much money, and we don't have special backing of specific organizations to spare out the money for us. So we tested the phone for over a year with Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, and it works perfectly fine with all those carriers. So we decided to give it out that way. But again, there was a lot of testing that needed to be done. So much more than just, okay, go to China, design a phone, make a phone, and boom, give it out. You can see a lot of people that did it. A lot of companies that tried that route to just, boom, give out a phone and just make it in China, and they have a pretty nice first prototype and decide, okay, it's worth it to go to production, and then they can't keep up with it. We try to create a very sustainable brand with good customer service for after sales, repair facilities to repair stuff, and updates to improve bug fixes and add features accordingly.
So it seems to me that during this process, you grabbed what you knew. You had the ability to kind of channel your experience. You didn't want to give something that was too of an older design. And you wanted to merge the older design with the new design, good functionality, and just the ability to follow, your community's guidelines at the same time. But I would like to know more about your personal usage and how it has changed over time. You mentioned a little bit about all you knew was a flip phone in the past, but you also love technology. How have you been able to navigate that with what we call a dumb phone, right? Like a basic phone, a minimal phone. What is the impact that it has made in your life to create this new space and also be part of it in a way that maybe reduces your interaction with technology as a whole?
I always had a basic phone for talk only or talk and text. And then I also had a smartphone or a tablet, whatever I had, different years and different stages, where I had WhatsApp, the basic apps to use for faster communication, and especially today's days, and a lot of sales and stuff go through WhatsApp, and you can reach a lot more people through WhatsApp. So I do have WhatsApp and minimum connectivity with a filter, of course, installed on my phone or tablet. So I pretty much have access to whatever I need during office time or sometimes at night when I need to deal with China back and forth. But besides that, I'm not like active on Instagram so much or just random social sites. I keep them. I have an Instagram account and a Twitter account just to keep in touch. Sometimes you need to use them Twitter DM for some people to get in touch with some bigger people, higher profile people. that have accounts over there. So I have basically both, like connectivity and a basic phone. It's not like I'm, as I told you, there's a few different types of people. There's the minimalistic type of people that they want to be off grid, no screen at all. I'm more of the category, I would say, that uses the minimum because of our spiritual guidance that we have. So I do enjoy it that we have this off time, let's call it, that we have space and we're not so connected. We're connected, but not so connected. When I come home or different times, we are basically completely disconnected.
As we wrap up, I would like to talk about two more simple topics. The first one is, what do you think this market is going to continue doing? As somebody who's keeping tabs on, the developments, but why do you think people are so in need of these devices that may look great or have a touch screen, but they don't have a lot of the functionality like smartphones have? So let's go for that question, and then we'll wrap up with a final one.
A lot of people feel, and rightfully so, you have the whole Gen Z situation, and a lot of people in general feel like the smartphone is taking them too much time away, too much important time. Again, I have a smartphone or a tablet, and I know exactly how it feels. Like after you're like trying to do something and you just find yourself scrolling an extra hour that weren't needed to be scrolling and not accomplishing what you originally planned, or just making you too busy. So people are starting to look for different options. And it's important to remember that the companies that create smartphones, their entire revenue comes from having you on screen. So it's not like they're going to come out with a version of a very minimalistic smartphone, although they're going to claim to make screen time and they're going to claim to try to help you a little bit with that. But on the other hand, they're going to just try to do everything they can to get you more on screen time. So a lot of people think like, maybe let me try out for a week, and then it becomes a month, 2 months to have two phones or have just only one phone with connectivity in the office that they need for the office use. But when they come home to their wives, to their spouse, or to their kids, or just generally sitting around with friends and family, to be at least distracted.
Thank you, Ari, for coming on to the podcast and helping us understand a little bit more about what it takes to bring a product to fruition. We always like to leave our guests with a final word. So if you would like, you can give us a little bit of like, how people can find your phone and where they can find you, maybe ask more questions and get to know more of the story behind the mindful phone and the mindset phone.
Thank you. You can check out our website. It's mindphone.co, mindphone.co. That's for the Mind Phone. Or you can go to our general GreenTouch store, which is greentouchstore.com. Over there, you can find our MP3 players, speaker, baby monitor, and of course, the Mind Phone and all accessories. We tried focusing pretty much to have available right away 4 variants, 4 different colors of this Mind Phone. So you have a choice between a white, blue, black, and gray. And of course, we're always here to serve you. If you want to call in, we have our 9 to 5 customer service over here. It's 845-579-6262. Again, 845-579-6262. You can also place your orders or ask any question that you want to know on this phone system. And please, if you have any ideas, suggestions, feature upgrades that we should add, or if you want to create a custom phone, not the Mind Phone or a general custom phone, feel free to reach out on our website or by phone or by email, and we'll be more than happy to help you.
That was Ari Greenfeld from GreenTouch Solutions and creator of the Mindful Phone. We are so excited to have had him, and I hope that you gain some insights from this interview. As always, a reminder to move offline and to create opportunities that you can actually be more present in your life and to be actually doing what you desire. Thank you for listening to this episode of Moving Offline. We'll see you the next time.